she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy, and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got. I was doing footage. I had pictures, all the stuff that I had. You know, you could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received, and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I'm like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, you know, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture look like $10,000, $15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yo, all right, well then, you know, F you, you know, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine.
Gene Deal just broke his silence, and what he's saying is straight up wild. That Netflix documentary about Diddy has everyone talking, but Gene claims the footage he gave them was so explosive they couldn't even show it. Now he's saying he's about to expose everything that 50 Cent couldn't include, and if what he's hinting at is real, this could flip the whole story on its head. You clicked because you wanted the real truth, the uncut version, and that's exactly what Gene swears he's bringing. As Diddy's former bodyguard, he was around during some of the most talked about moments in hip-hop history. Now, after years of staying silent, he's finally speaking out in a full sit-down interview. He says he's done keeping secrets and ready to clear the air once and for all. According to Gene, he was supposed to be part of the Netflix doc from the very start. He says he had a 45-minute talk with 50 Cent and everything seemed solid until, allegedly, things went sideways. Gene claims the director disrespected him, so he walked out. Now he's spilling the tea on the stories that were too hot for Netflix to air, and these accusations sound intense. He says he's ready to talk about the City College tragedy, Anthony Wolf Jones, what he really believes happened with Kim Porter.
Documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was gonna do something and they're gonna say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big, it wasn't only Tupac, you understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in. You got a guy named Anthony Wolf.
And even why some major celebrities supposedly wanted nothing to do with the documentary. Everything that 50 Cent couldn't show, Gene says he's bringing straight to the public with zero filters. But before we even get into those alleged receipts, you need to understand the chaos happening behind the scenes, because things were way more heated than anyone realized. 50 Cent and Netflix just dropped Sean Combs' The Reckoning, and it shot straight to #1 overnight. Everyone's watching it, everyone's debating it, but here's the kicker. Some of the biggest stories never made it into the final cut. And according to Gene Deal, the real fire lies in what Netflix didn't let you see. Gene, who spent years right by Diddy's side as his bodyguard, says he saw everything. The wild parties, the high-stakes business deals, the chaos behind the fame, and even the emotional fallout that nobody ever talks about. He claims he's been sitting on footage, notes, and real receipts for years, just waiting for the perfect moment to finally drop his side of the story. And that moment has come. At first, Gene was actually ready to be part of 50 Cent's documentary. He thought, all right, now it's time for the full truth to come out. But when he sat down with director Alex Stapleton, things went off track fast. Gene says he came in ready to cooperate and tell everything he knew. But the vibe switched up quick, and suddenly he realized the project wasn't shaping up how he expected. Gene says he wanted to approach things the right way. So he tried to bring in two people who knew Diddy from the very beginning, Tim and Kirk Burrows. Together, they could have told the complete story, from the early grind and street moves to how Diddy built his empire piece by piece. That could have been the full blueprint. The uncut timeline no one else has ever broken down like that. He says he asked for $50,000 total for the three of them, not as a cash grab, but because the value and historical context they could bring were huge. In his mind, that price was fair for what they were bringing to the table. But this is where things took a sharp left turn. According to Gene, director Alex Stapleton hit him with a bombshell. She allegedly told him that 50 Cent had no real control over the documentary. Not the budget, not the casting, not even who got included. She said 50's name was mostly being used to give the project more hype. Gene says that's when he felt totally disrespected.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
For Diddy?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man, you working
Everybody
hard.
telling me you got to see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Part of me don't want to see it.
You probably don't.
Because it's all skewed, man. Like when you put stuff together, you create whatever narratives you want to, and at the end of the day, everybody being programmed. You know, right now the man's serving time.
Right.
You know, he went before the court. The court said this, and everything is God. But God said this is what he got to do. He got to do 5 years in pen.
He even pulled out invoices from other documentaries he'd worked on to prove he knew his worth. But instead of listening, Gene claims she accused him of lying. That blew his mind. From his perspective, after years of protecting Diddy, seeing wild situations up close and keeping solid notes and footage, being told he was making it up hit hard. He says that's when he realized this documentary wasn't about truth. It was about control. That whole situation was wild, and it didn't stop there. While Gene was trying to lock in a fair deal for all three men, he later found out that Kirk Burroughs was allegedly cutting his own secret deal behind the scenes. Classic industry move. Everybody trying to make their own lane and secure their own bag. Gene says he wanted one unified agreement so everyone got treated right. But Kirk was already making quiet moves on the side, so Gene walked away. He decided not to take part in the Netflix documentary at all, and that's exactly why so many viewers feel like something's missing. The man who says he's got the deepest timeline, the private footage, and the real receipts wasn't even involved. Now Gene says he's ready to expose everything that didn't make it into the Netflix cut, and it starts with how Bad Boy Records was really built. The documentary only brushed the surface, but Gene says this part explains a lot. According to him, Kirk Burroughs, the same guy from earlier, claimed he owned 25% of Bad Boy Records from day one, while Diddy held the other 75%. But here's the wild twist Gene points out. The company wasn't even in Diddy's name. It was reportedly listed under his mother, Janice Combs. Why would it be structured that way?
You know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the step. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked the
Gene says it was a legal strategy, a move to protect Diddy from lawsuits or any liability, and once you hear the context, the whole picture starts to make sense. Before Bad Boy blew up, Diddy already knew trouble might be coming after the City College tragedy, an event where 9 adults lost their lives. Their families were reportedly preparing to take legal action, and Gene believes that's exactly why Diddy didn't attach his personal name to the company. It wasn't emotion, it was cold, calculated business. But the story doesn't stop there. Gene says Diddy later wanted Kirk's 25% too, and according to what Kirk himself claimed in the documentary, Diddy allegedly pulled up with a baseball bat, threatened him, and forced him to sign over his share. That's intense. Kirk later tried to sue in 2003, but the case got tossed out because too much time had passed. Gene says that moment showed just how deep the power plays inside Bad Boy really went. Just think about that for a second. Kirk helped build Bad Boy from the ground up. The branding, the early grind, the whole vision. He was there from day one. And according to his own story, he lost everything through intimidation and pressure. He even said he ended up homeless at one point while Diddy went on to become a billionaire off the same empire they originally built together. That's heartbreaking and wild all at once. The Netflix documentary did mention this situation, but they barely scratched the surface. Gene Deal says he could have laid out the entire story, from how Bad Boy was structured to why Diddy allegedly put the company under his mother's name, and how that setup connected to major legal pressure at the time. None of that made it into the final cut. And it really makes you wonder what kind of truths got left on the cutting room floor. But here's where things take a dark turn. Gene claims the documentary completely skipped over an entire storyline involving Anthony "Wolf" Jones, a name that carries serious weight in hip-hop history. Wolf was Bad Boy's head of security back in the early days, long before the fame, before the big deals, before everything got polished. He was one of Diddy's most loyal protectors. And according to Gene, Wolf knew everything happening behind closed doors. Gene describes Wolf as the guy who knew who handled what, who got paid, and what really went down at certain private events. The kind of stuff people only whisper about. And here's the heavy part. Gene alleges that Diddy's decisions played a role in the chain of events that led to Wolf's death. That's a major claim, and Gene says it with full seriousness. He also insists that the documentary crew either didn't have the right information or they flat out avoided going deeper into the Wolf story. Wolf was killed in a situation tied to someone connected to BMF, the Black Mafia family, a group with a long, complicated legacy in hip-hop and street culture. Gene says that connection wasn't random, that it fits into a much bigger puzzle surrounding Diddy's world, but Netflix barely mentioned Wolf.
She knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Just a few old photos, a short segment, and then they moved on. So the question is, why skip something that major? Gene suggests it's because this was dangerous territory. Real violence, real criminal networks, and very real consequences. Netflix didn't want that kind of smoke, and 50 Cent probably wasn't trying to open a door that could spill into real life either. Still, Gene Deal says this story has to be told, because in his eyes, Wolf's death wasn't random at all. He believes it ties directly into the hidden parts of the industry that nobody wants to talk about. And just when you think it can't get any crazier, the story gets even more heated. The Netflix documentary barely touched on the City College tragedy, but according to Gene Deal, they didn't even come close to showing the full story. Gene says he was right there that night, saw it all unfold with his own eyes, and his account completely changes how people understand what really went down. It was December 28, 1991. A night that was supposed to be about charity, music, and good energy. Diddy helped organize a celebrity basketball event at City College in New York, and what happened inside that building changed lives forever. This was meant to be a star-studded showcase for a good cause. Heavy D was involved, and some of the biggest names in hip-hop were set to show up. The excitement was unreal. Mike Tyson, LL Cool J, and other A-listers were pulling in. The place was jam-packed, wall-to-wall, with fans expecting an unforgettable night. Gene says his security team had originally been hired to manage the outside crowd. He came prepared. 18 trained men, dogs, gates, everything. He knew how wild Harlem could get when major stars pulled up, so he wasn't taking chances. But according to Gene, the day before the event, Diddy pulled him aside and said that Heavy D didn't want Gene's team working security anymore. Just like that, his entire crew was cut. No professional security outside at all. So when the big night finally hit, chaos broke loose fast. Thousands of people started pushing toward the entrance, desperate to get inside. And when Mike Tyson and LL Cool J decided to walk through the front doors instead of using the private back entrance, Gene says the crowd surged instantly. Bodies started pressing forward, people screaming, stairwells turning into danger zones in seconds. Now here's the part that Gene claims the documentary completely left out. He says there was a promoter named Jessica Rosenblum working alongside Diddy and Heavy D that night. When the crowd began to surge, Gene claims Jessica panicked, but not about the people being crushed in the stairwell. According to Gene, her focus was on the cash box holding all the ticket money. He says Jessica grabbed the box, ran to the bottom of the stairs, and locked the door, trapping hundreds of adults in that narrow stairwell with no room to move, breathe, or escape. That decision, if what Gene says is true, sealed the fate of those people inside. Gene recalls that moment with real pain, saying that locking that door changed everything. 9 adults lost their lives that night, crushed in that stairwell while chaos broke out just beyond the doors. The documentary only gave the event a passing mention, but Gene insists this was the true turning point, the night that set off a chain of consequences Diddy would be dealing with for years to come. He says if Netflix had shown the real version of that night, the panic, the decisions, and the people involved, the entire conversation about Diddy's early career would be different right now. After the crowd surge broke out, Gene says it turned into chaos so fast that he couldn't even reach the stairs. The crowd was packed so tight that he had to circle the entire gym, find another way in, and start kicking open doors from the inside. By the time he finally fought his way through, it was already too late. Gene says he tried to save lives that night, even performing CPR on one of the victims, a young attendee who sadly didn't make it. He still remembers that moment like it happened yesterday. He says the victim's older brother was crying, saying, "This is the first time I ever took my little brother anywhere. My mom is gonna kill me." Those words, Gene says, are burned into his mind forever. And here's what still blows people's minds. Jessica Rosenblum's name appears in old news reports as one of the official event promoters, yet she never faced any consequences. No charges, no questions, no accountability. The Netflix documentary barely mentioned the City College tragedy, and when it did, it focused mostly on Diddy and Heavy D. They didn't dig into Jessica's alleged role, never explained why Gene's entire security team was pulled the day before, and completely left out the claim that a door was locked while 9 adults lost their lives. Gene says he tried to explain everything to the documentary team, every angle, every piece of evidence, but none of it made the final cut. And once you hear what was happening behind the scenes, you start to wonder why. Now here's where things get messy. The off-camera drama was just as wild as the stories Gene was ready to expose. He had already lined up a full package deal with himself, Tim, and Kirk Burrows, 3 men who knew Diddy from completely different sides. Tim had the childhood stories and early career details. Kirk understood the business side, the structure, the money flow. And Gene, he had the street knowledge, the bodyguard perspective, the chaos, the real-life danger no one else saw. Together, they could have delivered the entire unfiltered timeline. But according to Gene, director Alex Stapleton started moving funny. He says she told him the price he asked for was crazy money, like his years of experience weren't even worth the budget. Gene says he even pulled out actual invoices from past documentaries that paid him around the same range, paperwork and all, but she still brushed him off. Then came the line that completely flipped the room. Gene says Alex told him straight up that 50 Cent doesn't control anything that goes into the documentary. She allegedly said 50 doesn't decide the payouts, doesn't choose who's featured, and that his name was mainly being used to promote the project. Think about that. The entire doc was being sold as 50 Cent's big expose on Diddy, hyped around their public rivalry, and built off 50's brand. But behind the scenes, Gene says he was told 50 had no real creative power. That's wild. Gene felt completely played. He's been sharing these stories for years on his own platforms, with receipts, footage, photos, and first-hand experience. But he says the director treated him like he didn't matter, like he was just another person chasing attention. Meanwhile, Gene says Kirk Burrows was quietly making his own side moves. Kirk kept calling, trying to convince Gene to drop his price and just take whatever they offer. But later, Gene found out Kirk was secretly negotiating his own separate contract, doing business behind everyone's back while pretending to still be part of the team. That's the industry for you. When money enters the picture, loyalty starts to fade. So Gene decided to walk away completely. And that's why the documentary feels unfinished, why the biggest stories never made it in. The one guy who had the deepest timeline, the real receipts, and the inside access refused to participate because he felt disrespected from the start. And now Gene says he's ready to tell his version. No filters, no edits, and no holding back. A lot of people noticed something off right away. The Netflix documentary barely mentioned Kim Porter. Kim wasn't just anyone. She was Diddy's longtime partner and the mother of 3 of his children. She passed away in 2018 at only 47, officially from pneumonia, but her story still raises a lot of questions. Kim was there through everything: the parties, the business deals, the chaos, the emotional tension, the lifestyle. Yet in the documentary, she gets just a few seconds of screen time before they move on. That struck a lot of viewers as strange. Multiple reports have since said that the filmmakers avoided diving deeper into Kim's life because it was considered too sensitive, too risky to touch on camera. But Gene Deal says that's exactly the kind of truth that needs to be told. He says he knew Kim personally, worked security around her, looked out for her at certain events, and had his own private experiences that revealed a lot about what was happening behind the scenes. None of that made the final cut. The documentary just flashed a couple of photos, mentioned that she was the mother of Diddy's kids, and moved on. For someone who played such a major role in Diddy's world, you'd expect more focus, unless there was a reason they didn't want that story in the spotlight. Now here's where things really start to raise eyebrows. For decades, Diddy hosted some of the biggest, wildest parties in the entertainment world, packed with actors, artists, athletes, executives, even political figures. These parties were legendary. Everyone wanted an invite. That was Diddy's whole image, the man who could bring anyone into the same room. So here's the question Gene keeps asking. Why doesn't the documentary show any of those celebrities? No interviews, no commentary, not even a quick quote from the famous faces who used to party with him. For a film centered on nightlife and celebrity culture, the silence is strange, too strange. Are we really supposed to believe that Diddy threw massive events for years and not a single high-profile guest ever got caught up in something worth mentioning? That doesn't sound realistic to a lot of people. Gene Deal says he believes some big-name figures wanted to keep their names far away from anything connected to the investigation surrounding Diddy. And while that part is speculation, Gene isn't the only one saying it. There are whispers that certain celebrities might have requested or even paid to stay out of the documentary completely, just to protect their brands, their families, and their reputations. Gene talks about this openly, but Netflix didn't go near it. From Gene's point of view, it all comes down to strategy. He says 50 Cent is a businessman first. He wasn't trying to drag other celebrities into a storm that could turn legal or dangerous. He wanted the focus strictly on Diddy. Not every famous person who ever showed up at one of his parties. But still, if certain names were intentionally kept out, then what the audience saw was a cleaned-up, controlled version of events, something polished to avoid pointing fingers at anyone with real power. And Gene says he can see those gaps loud and clear. And speaking of celebrities staying quiet, one reaction in particular got people talking. Marlon Wayans. Someone asked him if he had seen the documentary, and his answer instantly made headlines. Marlon said he hasn't watched it, and probably won't. Then he called it a narrative. That one word had people online debating for days. Was he trying to say the documentary was biased? Or was he just staying out of something that could get messy? Either way, the silence from people who used to be right there beside Diddy says a whole lot without saying a word. Marlon Wayans didn't stop there. He said, with the right editing, you can shape any story you want. Then he added, everybody's being programmed. That line had people's jaws dropping instantly. Why would Marlon say that? Was he defending Diddy, calling the documentary biased, or hinting that he's seen things himself but doesn't want to get involved publicly? There have been quiet whispers about Marlon in the industry for years. Nothing confirmed, just background talk. But when he refuses to even watch the documentary and starts throwing around words like narrative and programming, people can't help but wonder what he's really trying to say. Gene Deal says that reaction doesn't surprise him at all because he claims he's seen plenty of celebrities act the same way. He says he's got personal stories involving big names, things he witnessed firsthand. But a lot of those people made it clear they didn't want their names anywhere near the documentary. Their silence alone, Gene says, speaks volumes. Now let's get into one of the most explosive parts of this entire situation. The private footage of Diddy that surfaced before his arrest. This is the material that had everyone online asking the same question. Where did 50 Cent even get this? In the documentary, there's a segment showing Diddy inside a New York hotel room, talking with his lawyer on speakerphone, reacting to the news, strategizing, and trying to figure out his next move. It's raw, personal, and totally behind the scenes. Moments that were clearly never meant to go public. According to reports, Diddy had hired a videographer to document that entire period of his life. Maybe it was for a future project. Maybe he wanted a full record of everything happening. Nobody really knows for sure. But what's certain is that someone was filming him non-stop. Here's where it gets tricky. Footage like that is usually considered private property, owned by Diddy himself. The videographer would have been under contract and bound by NDAs, meaning none of that material was supposed to leave Diddy's inner circle. But somehow, 50 Cent ended up with it. That's when everything exploded into a full-blown legal storm. Diddy's lawyers immediately sent Netflix a cease and desist, calling the footage unauthorized and demanding that it be removed from the platform. They insisted the clips were never meant for public release and were stolen or leaked without permission. Netflix pushed back, saying they obtained the footage through legal channels. But here's the twist. They didn't say how. They didn't reveal who gave it to them, didn't name any source, and didn't share a single detail about where it came from. And 50 Cent, he's kept completely quiet about it too. That silence made everything feel even more mysterious. Was it an insider leak? A deal gone bad? Or something much deeper behind the scenes? Nobody knows for sure. And adding to the confusion, the videographer himself hasn't spoken publicly at all. No statements, no interviews, nothing. So right now, nobody can say with certainty how that footage slipped out. But one thing's clear. Once it hit Netflix, the game changed completely. It turned the documentary from a simple expose into a full-scale media earthquake. From Gene's point of view, Netflix didn't want truth. They wanted something safe, clean, and marketable. A project that could trend fast, pull in millions of views, and keep all the focus on Diddy without dragging other powerful names into the light. In the documentary, Diddy ends up framed as the only villain in the story, but Gene says that's nowhere near the full picture. According to him, a lot of people in those same circles saw things, stayed silent, or even took part in situations that should have raised serious questions, yet not one of their names ever showed up in the documentary. Their identities stayed protected, their stories buried, and that's exactly why Gene calls the whole project incomplete. He says the public only got a small slice of the truth, while the real players stayed hidden in the shadows. That's why Gene's been talking non-stop, because in his eyes, people deserve to know what really went on behind those doors. And here's the thing, Gene's been telling these stories long before Netflix or 50 Cent ever got involved. He's been on podcasts, interviews, YouTube shows, breaking down everything he witnessed, everything he lived through, and everything he believes the public has a right to understand. Love him or doubt him, one thing's clear, Gene Deal hasn't been quiet about any of it. So now the question's on you. Which part of this story hits you the hardest? Which moment do you think 50 Cent should have included to make that documentary feel raw, real, and complete? Drop your thoughts below. Let's spark a real conversation about what's truth, what's hidden, and who's still protecting who. Thanks for rocking with Mike Trip. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this channel growing strong. More deep dives, more breakdowns, and more truth bombs are coming your way. So stay locked in, stay sharp, and stay aware out there.